Hey all, I've decided to start doing mini reviews of each new episode of Welcome to Night Vale that comes out. Um, I think it just has to do this week's episode, which was episode 132 called Bedtime Story. It was so beautiful and it reminded me of so many of my favorite episodes. So I actually was listening to the post weather section after work and I had to pull over because I wanted to concentrate fully on the podcast. Usually I just kind of listen while I'm driving. I just think this episode was kind of the push I needed to start recording reviews because I've been a fan of the series for a really long time, like since maybe the fifth or sixth episode came out, and I just haven't had a lot of people to talk to. Like I don't hang out on Tumblr a lot, which is where a lot of the community for this show is. The subreddit's a little dead, so I just thought I would kind of review slash journal what I'm thinking about each episode. I think probably the new recap show, Good Morning Night Vale, which you should listen to, has got my brain moving in this direction as well. So let me just shoot some random thoughts here to the internet about the show. It opens with the line, "This is a bedtime story my mother used to tell me." And the first thing I thought was, is it really though? How much can we trust Cecil's memory regarding especially his family or childhood? If you listen to I guess the first episode that really went into it was called Cassette, where Cecil played old recordings of himself when he was a kid, and we find out like the Cecil we know maybe isn't the Cecil who was in the tapes. Um, the one in the tapes never looked at mirrors, and maybe something bad happened to him. We really have no clue after the big A Story About Huntokar episode when we realize like the reason things never seem to take effect in Night Vale is that there's multiple versions of Night Vale. They've all combined together now, but we don't know maybe which Cecil's the real one or if there's still multiples. So basically the story that he tells here in the podcast is about how different what people do versus what they say can be, and also like how your perception changes your reality. There's a really sad line that struck me. The kid in the story says he just wanted his sister to believe him that mountains were real. And I think it's a really good moment because that started as a joke in the series, that no one in the town thinks mountains are real. That was played off for laughs at first, with Cecil saying maybe they are real. But now it's used as a way to be kind of sad in a way, like, oh, no one believes this kid. It just reaches deep into the heart of the podcast, like pulling an idea from way back in the beginning and turning it around in a different way. The next line that really stuck with me was after the kid is burrowing through the ground, it says, he found a lockbox full of notebooks long since rotted away. And I love, if you've ever talked to me in real life, you'll know I love like abandoned or like ruined location and relics. It's like catnip. It really interests me, like abandoned buildings and the idea that somewhere there were emotional connections and meaning to a place that's completely lost, either because the people are gone or the things that made it emotional for someone are gone, or both. It's just a hypnotic idea to me. It manages to always draw me in any piece of fiction or like reality. Show me a good piece of art about an abandoned space, and I'm almost certain to save it. The next line that got me was, these days he could only read clouds and stars and moonlight. So once the kid is the tree. And that was the line that made me realize I should be paying really close attention. Both Cecil and the writers were in like really rare form for this episode, and I think that line was kind of the signal to be like, oh, I actually should really listen to this because it's getting really good. It's just the type of line that you would expect to hear a lot earlier in the podcast history that's just like really meaningful, just in one line, catches your attention. I did want to talk about the angel in this episode. It seems so sad in its interactions with the kid, but also like its actions don't seem as benevolent as the angels that we've met in the present time story. It sent the boy underground in the first place, which turned him into the tree, and then he chops him down. Like in the end, that meant the kid could continue his curiosity and really learn everything. But it's really sad to me that the angel had to harm him first. Like there was the line, "Yet you've learned so little." and then from behind their back, Erica revealed an axe. And when I heard that, I was like, ah, I knew what was going to happen, but it was so vivid and the feeling was so good. Um, just imagining these angels who we've only known, to do great things for Night Vale, kind of teaching through pain. It was unexpected, but good. Um, I think that's all of my thoughts for this episode. If you have something to say, put it down in the comments. I am thinking of going back and doing some of these mini reviews for not for all the episodes because of course I don't want to take the time to do 130 of them, but at least for some of my favorite episodes, which just off the top of my head include like Cassette, Best of, A Story About You, A Story About Them, and like A Story About Huntercar, A Story About Us. I like those kind of maybe like The Woman from Italy, something like that. But shoot me an email or put in the comments if you have like any favorite episodes of Welcome to Night Vale and what makes those episodes good for you. You might remind me of one that I really liked that I just can't remember because there's been so many and it's been a while actually since I did a re-listen. I am re-listening along with Good Morning Night Vale, so that may also jar me. For instance, in a few weeks they'll have Sandstorm coming up, which I'm really looking forward to because I remember that was one of my favorites from the early days of Night Vale. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably put one up for that once they get to it and I re-listen. But yeah, I think that's it for this one. Thanks for listening.